Houston Public Works is responsible for the daily tasks you may take for granted. You may not notice us, but we work around the clock to support you. We are the foundation for life in Houston. Houston Water distributes enough fresh water to fill the Astrodome 4 times a day. Transportation and drainage operations handle 16,000 miles of streets. Over 1 million signs and street names and thousands of drains. The Houston Permitting Center regulates hundreds of projects so you can work, play, and live safely. Customer Account Services ensures 2.1 million people have access to safe drinking water with efficiency, accuracy, and flexibility. Capital Projects manages the critical improvements that make Houston better every single day. Houston is always moving towards growth, innovation, and progress. We are the largest, most diverse public works organization in the country. We are one team with one purpose. Together, we create a strong foundation for Houston to thrive.
Good evening, and thank you all for joining us. I'd like to welcome you to the live virtual community meeting for the Green River and Chatwood Lift Station Diversion Project. I'm Tim Williams, and I serve on the public engagement team here at Houston Public Works. The purpose of this meeting is to inform you about the project, prepare you on what to expect during construction, and to provide you with helpful contact information. Before we begin, I'd like to ask that you please hold all questions until the end of the presentation. Your question may be answered during this time. If not, don't worry. We will hold a Q&A session afterwards. Here at Houston Public Works, we truly believe that together we create a strong foundation for Houston to thrive. Houston Public Works is comprised of 5 service lines. Tonight's meeting is brought to you by Capital Projects. Now we'll hear from Jeff Mossick, Assistant Director for Capital Projects, who will give us a quick word on the project and introduce his amazing project team. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, District B residents, for attending this meeting. And good evening. I'd like to I would like to thank you all for taking time to participate in this meeting so we can discuss this upcoming gravity sewer diversion project. The project objective: the city currently operates and maintains 39 wastewater treatment plants, as well as 384 lift stations. So as part of the capital improvement program, the city plans to abandon some of these lift stations and divert their flow to a nearby wastewater treatment plant. And this will meet regulatory requirements, improve reliability, and reduce operation and maintenance costs. So now to talk about the actual project's purpose. The purpose of this project is to abandon the existing aging lift stations in Green River and Chatwood Drive and divert the flow via gravity sewer to the FWSD number 23 wastewater treatment plant. The two existing lift stations have been in service since the 80s and 90s, respectively, and is scheduled for diversion as part of the lift station renewal and replacement program within our CIP. This project includes demolition of the two lift stations mentioned before and construction of over 5,000 linear feet of 24-inch and 5,000 linear feet of 30-inch gravity sewer lines. The route will be part of this presentation, so you'll get to see it later on. The entire proposed gravity sewer will run along city's right-of-way and will be installed by trenchless method. So next, I would like to take a moment and personally thank the project team for attending this briefing and also to introduce them to you all. Araj Ranjbar is the managing engineer of this project. Sherry Lynn is our supervising engineer for this project, and she will be assisted by Jing He, the project manager. Our supervising inspector on the site will be Jeremy Garcia, and we have contracted a consultant to assist with construction management and inspection. The firm we've contracted with is Briones Consulting and Engineering, and the point of contact for them will be Rolando Briones. The contractor that received the award for this and will perform the work is Raytech Construction Resources, Inc., and Jesus Prieto will be the point of contact for their firm. So with that, I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I will hand it back over to you, Tim.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Now, this project has a budget of $25.6 million. It's scheduled for approximately 18 months or 550 calendar days. Work is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2022, and the project is scheduled to be completed in the fall of 2023. This timeline may be altered due to weather delays and other extenuating circumstances. The contractor will work Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. However, extenuating circumstances may also require limited work to take place on Sundays. Again, the contractor is Raytech Construction Resources, Inc., and the city's project manager is Jing He. So what do the seasons mean? Here's a chart that displays our timeline. You can see how the months are categorized from January all the way to the month of December. So for example, January, February, and March are winter months. And you can see them all displayed here in the chart. Here's a closer look at some of the improvements taking place as part of this project. New sanitary sewer lines, manholes, and upgraded lift stations. You're also getting over 10,000 linear feet of sanitary sewer lines and 44 linear feet of water lines. This phasing map provides a breakdown of when and where this project will be constructed. Phase 1A in purple is scheduled to take place from summer 2022 to fall 2022. Phase 1B in blue is scheduled to take place from summer of 2022 to fall of 2022. Phase 1C, shown in red, is scheduled to take place from winter 2023 to spring of 2023. Phase 2 will take place on site at the Green River Lift Station. Phase 3 is brown and is scheduled to take place from winter 2023 to spring of 2023. And finally, Phase 4 will take place on site at the Chatwood Lift Station, the summer of 2023. These phasing plans are subject to change. So to receive the latest updates, be sure to subscribe to the project page on engagehouston.org. Now, we want you to be prepared with as much information as possible. So we encourage you to keep your door hangers. They contain essential contact information on the project team. Please remove any and all objects from the right-of-way, which includes landscaping and other specialty items. If you have such items located within the right-of-way and you'd like to preserve them, now is the time to remove them. You also have the opportunity to meet the project team. Civic groups and other area stakeholders are invited to attend project status meetings and receive updates directly from the project team. The contractor has a restoration plan for the entire project area, and once the work has been completed, they are required to restore the area back to the city's standards. So please don't make the repairs yourself. Restoration will typically take place at the end of the project, and the city won't give final payment to the contractor until we complete our own assessment to ensure an efficient level of service. Feel free to take photos and document your property prior to the start of construction. The photos may be helpful in resolving any issue related to the restoration process. Safety is a top priority. Here we have photos of some of the things you might see during construction. These items are essential in helping to ensure your safety, so please pay attention to them and obey all traffic signs. Do your part to maintain your safety and the safety of others. Because this area will soon undergo construction, there may be impact to water and other services. Please know that this is only temporary, and if there is a need to impact your driveway, the contractor will provide advance notice. And again, everything will be restored to the city standards. If you have decorative driveways or pavers and would like to preserve those, we encourage you to reach out to the contractor ahead of time to coordinate. Trees to be removed can be seen in the tree protection plan posted on our webpage. All efforts were made to preserve as many trees as possible. They were looked at closely and studied on a case-by-case basis. Of course, this is all necessary in order to bring improvements to the community. So we thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. For more information on this project, we encourage everyone to visit us online on our new website, engagehouston.org. Engagehouston.org is a one-stop shop for all of your engagement needs. Here you will have access to additional information and project documents, which includes every exhibit that was discussed at today's meeting. Now I'd like to show a brief video highlighting this amazing tool.
Welcome to EngageHouston.org,
We're incredibly excited to share this platform with you. This site allows us to communicate with Houstonians about the changes that are happening in their neighborhood. Our goal was to make it visually fun and engaging, as well as simple to navigate so that anyone would be able to find what they need. Thanks to Google Translate, users can translate the language used on the website, which makes for even more user friendliness. On the home screen, you can navigate the 4 project types that we support: drainage, street, wastewater, and water projects. Beneath that, you're going to see a variety of resources. This is where you can go if you want to watch us in action, view various Houston Public Works initiatives, and so much more. All of these resources can also be found up here in our header. For all public meetings, we send out notifications to the community, and one way to access the meeting link is to click on this Join Us button pictured here. When you select the Join Us button, it's going to take you to our upcoming virtual community meeting schedule. As you can see, there are a few virtual meetings planned for this month that have already been scheduled on the calendar. Another great thing about this website is that we have enabled social media shares. Users can share meeting links, project pages, and updates to their social media feed through private messages and/or email, and this helps us in getting more information out to the community. Now, let's explore what a project page looks like. Using the navigation links at the top of the page, we can check out the active projects. If we click on drainage, that will take us to all of the active drainage projects. Let's dive into one. How about Garden Oaks and Shepherd Park West? This is our standard project page format. It is a snapshot of all of the relevant project information. On the project page, it shows a standard map, which highlights the project area, and general project information, which may be followed by a link below to the project's frequently asked questions. To the right, you're going to see a variety of tools, and first is the Stay Informed Subscribe button. This allows a user to subscribe to this project alone, meaning that this specific project is of great interest. All it requires is inputting your email address here, and you'll be notified via email when updates are posted to the page or new information becomes available. You'll see the current project phase, as well as the project documents, meeting recordings, videos, and pictures underneath that. And of course, every page is going to show you who's listening and who the public engagement team is. At the bottom of the page, there's the Engage Us tool, which allows you to correspond directly with us through this platform. In order to use this tool, you must be registered and signed into the site, and we'll be showing you that process shortly. Once you're signed in, you can ask questions, and they're sent directly to the public engagement team. And we research and provide a response to every single question that is asked. The cool thing about this site is that not only does the original poster receive an answer to their question, they'll also be notified via email once there's a response. We wanted to also note that some of the questions and answers will be posted publicly so that others can view the conversation. We say some because in order to respect privacy, we don't post a question and answer if someone uses any personal information, but they still will get an answer and be notified via email. Let's take a look at another project page. Another feature that is available is the Project Updates tool, which allows participants to get the latest information on the project. If they're subscribed, they'll be notified when an update is posted and can share that update to social media or via email. We are working on providing updates for each project so that we can continually keep the community informed and engaged. Last but not least, we encourage everyone to register for this site. Some of the tools we discussed earlier can only be accessed and utilized if you're registered. So it is extremely important to register for the site. We made it as simple, quick, and painless as we could. Here, let me show you. Just create a username and password, then enter your email, zip code, and identify which City of Houston Council District you live in. Of course, if you don't know, select that. Or if it doesn't apply, select none of the above. And then you need to proceed to agree to the terms of use and privacy policy as the next step. To complete the registration process, you'll receive a confirmation email, and once you confirm that it's you, you are good to go. Now, you're all set up to utilize the tools here on engagehouston.org. Welcome to engagehouston.org.
Okay, sorry about that. Great stuff. So we definitely encourage you all to go out and visit engagehouston.org and to subscribe to the project page. Now, we've highlighted 3 ways for you to provide feedback during construction. You can dial 311, download the app, or reach out to us directly at buildforward@houstontx.gov. This concludes the presentation portion of today's meeting. I want to thank you again for your time and attendance. A big shout out to the project team, our public engagement team, and everyone working to make this project possible. And again, as I depart, I'd like to encourage you to visit us online at engagehouston.org. Now is the time to subscribe. And now, as promised, is a very popular part of our meeting, the Q&A session. This is your opportunity to ask questions about the project and receive answers directly from the project team. The consultant and contractors are also present, so take advantage and ask away. I'd like to introduce a valued member of our engagement team who will facilitate the Q&A process, Jonathan Solanke. Jonathan, over to you.
Thank you all for joining us this evening on our live virtual community meeting. And as we transition to the much anticipated Q&A session, please keep in mind the project team is here and ready to answer any of the questions that you may have. So please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box and select Send located within Microsoft Teams. And I will direct your questions to members of the project team in order that they were received. And if you have any questions beyond this meeting today, please feel free to visit us at engagehouston.org and submit your questions there on the Green River-Chatwood project page. So again, now is the time to type in any questions that you have for the project team into Microsoft Teams. For our first question for the project team, what impacts to the street and street traffic will this project have? What impacts to the street and street traffic will this project have?
Hey, Jonathan, this is Jesus Prieto. To answer that question, of course, we will have 24-foot shafts, and that's diameter, and then 14-foot shafts that we will be digging in order for us to bore and micro tunnel our pipe. So that, of course, most of those shafts actually fall in the middle of the road, or if not on the majority part, for the majority on the road. So in those scenarios where we have a shaft in the middle, or for the majority on one side of the road, we will close off that road. Of course, all local traffic will be either rerouted to go around from where our shaft is, and then the important part is that all local traffic will have access. Driveways, there is minimal impact on driveways. I did see about 2 to 3 shafts that do fall right in front of the driveways. So for that we do plan on, if possible, building temporary access. If it's not possible, of course, we will give a 2 weeks advance notice. So I don't know if that fully answers the question, but that's.
This is Jeff Moshek with Houston Public Works. Do we have a layout to show where these proposed access points are? Well, I'm really asking the design team or my project managers.
Yes, sir.
Jesus. I appreciate you helping.
Jeff, Hi, this is Jean. Yes, we do have the traffic control plan, and it's posted in the engagement group's website.
Okay. Typically, just for those that are wondering, typically the way we handle it, I'm not intimately knowledgeable at this specific location, but I would assume the shafts were not designed to be in the middle of the roadway. Is that correct, Jean?
Oh, I think, Carol, you may want to answer this question in more detailed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Carol Serna, and I'm with Stantec. We are the engineer of record for the project, which means that we completed the design. And Jeff, you are correct. The shafts were chosen placement-wise to be as far away from the center of the road, and additionally chosen to try to minimize impacts to houses. Of course, as we do these construction projects, on the sides of the right-of-ways are also other conflicts, your storm, your sewer, your water. So the design incorporated all of those conflicts, but our main goal was to minimize disruption to the houses. There was a couple where there is likely going to be some impacts to driveways, and that will require coordination from the contractor, but the contractor is required to give notice for all of those. And as Jesus was saying as well, that there's a couple areas where there will be kind of a shutdown of the road, but we will have traffic control in place in order to, divert traffic that would otherwise be through traffic. But there's no intention to cut off access to houses. So residents should be able to access their houses. Now, driveways or, parking, street parking, things like that will be, of course, coordinated.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have another question that came in. It says, is there a map for sewage? Where are the sewage stations located in Northeast Houston?
That would be, Tim, do we have a link to the public access of our geospatial data?
I can look into trying to pull that up. Give me one second.
Because I think it has access to the public, right? And so we could provide that shows
Okay.
that. One of the things that I've done in the past, just as a citizen of Houston, is I'll go into Google Maps and you can zoom in and you'll find certain locations if you're curious from a satellite image.
Okay, and that may be something that we can work to get posted on Engage Houston for access to the citizenship.
Thank you, Tim.
No problem.
All right, and then this question goes with the original point. It says, I noticed that the FAQ states that we will not be able to access our driveways while they are being reconstructed. So what exact impacts or reconstruction are you doing to the driveways?
So I'll answer in generic terms, and then Jesus can talk to how the contractor Raytech will interact with the property owner. When we impact a driveway, the city's intent is to replace back in kind within the right of way. And the part that sometimes gets a little confusing to the public is where that right of way starts or ends, depending on your perspective. But it's typically 10 to 15 feet from the curb or ditch line. So now if the slope becomes a certain too steep, then we may go a few inches or a foot back to lessen that. But as far as the actual schedule of an impact from tearing the driveway out to putting it back and giving you access, I'll hand it over to Jesus.
Thank you, Jeff. So yes, for the most part, any driveway that is damaged through the process of construction, will be replaced, and to city standards. And we don't plan on as soon as the driveway is disturbed, and once we're done with the shaft that falls within that area, once we backfill the shaft, get out of the area, we do plan on right away replacing the driveway. So it'll be we don't plan on leaving it towards the end of the project. If that's one of the main concerns, we do plan on replacing the driveway as soon as possible.
And typically when we replace the driveway, it depends on the construction. So let's say the driveway is impacted by the shaft that we're using to install this line. What we will do is we will interact with that resident. It was mentioned earlier, 7 days in advance, but there should be a lot of coordination with the homeowner prior to us doing any work near that driveway. But once we rip the driveway out, usually it takes a few days to get the base back and put the rebar in, and then we pour concrete, and then it needs roughly 3 to 5 days to cure. So it could be a week to 2 week long process once we start tearing it out, and it will take coordination. Sometimes we ask residents to maybe use the neighbor's driveway if they don't mind while we do that work. But there will be point coordination with the specific property owner.
All right, thank you. And then another question from a Lakewood resident. Are they planning to fix the drainage at the same time?
This project is a wastewater project. It is not part of the drainage program. It is funded under our water bills. So if you look at your water bill, you have a water and a wastewater portion to that bill, and the collections from that work towards providing this service and improving our capital assets. And that's what this is. So this is not a drainage project.
All right, thank you. And then another question, will you be collaborating with residents on that street to make an alternative route that is accessible and ADA compliant?
I think we would appreciate if you know of certain residents that need ADA assistance. I think you have the points of contact. It'd be very good to share those with those points of contact. And yes, we do have a traffic control plan that shows the ingress and egress of the street.
All right, thank you. We have a question concerning street traffic. So how will traffic be managed while the street is closed or under construction?
I will hand that over to the team.
So to answer that question, like Jeff mentioned, we do have a traffic control plan in place where we have shafts that do disturb the road, the majority of the part of the road at least. If we need to, we will, or for the shafts that do fall near the middle of the road and there's no way to reroute or to let traffic through, we will have a detour in place. But for the most part, it does seem that traffic will be able to cross just yes, like I said, for the majority of the part, it does seem like traffic will be able to flow. Either we'll make it a one lane, have flaggers on each side, just flagging cars or traffic. But in the case scenario where there is not enough space for traffic to flow, we will have a detour in place.
All right, thank you. Moving on, this question is particularly about the shafts. What impacts will shafts encroaching onto drainage ditches have in the neighborhood? What impacts will the shafts encroaching onto drainage ditches have in the neighborhood?
So we do have a plan to, I guess, reroute the water that does whatever drainage ditch is affected by one of the shafts. We do have a plan to reroute the water that does fall, or at least the flood water that goes through that drainage ditch. And I mean, the plan is just to bypass either have a either a pump bypassing water to an opposite side of the road, to different ditch. But for the majority of the project, that will be our plan.
Yeah, and just to elaborate a little bit more, there's a couple areas of different types of utilities. So your storm, your water, and your wastewater, and all of those, have been kind of accounted for in the design. And then the contractor, is responsible for making sure that those are, either relocated or bypassed, like Jesus was talking about, either via pump or, another gravity route that's feasible around the shaft. So there are going to be, different types of conflicts, but most of them, again, have been accounted for either in the design or will be managed through construction means and methods.
All right, thank you. So this question says, where do we tell people to contact if they are disabled?
My recommendation is to, Tim showed the Engage Houston. That would be the best start, but if they want, they can feel free to contact. We had on the presentation points of contact as well as their phone numbers, which is also on the Engage Houston website.
All right, perfect. Will demolition of the lift station be noisy? How much disturbance will this cause in the neighborhood? Will demolition of the lift stations be noisy, and how much disturbance will this cause in the neighborhood?
We will make our best effort to try to minimize the noise while demolition is going on at the lift stations. Now, we do plan on it taking about 3.5 or about 3 weeks for us to complete demolition for each lift station. But yes, we will make our best attempt to minimize the noise while completing that operation.
And I'll add to that we do have, the city has a noise ordinance in place, and the contractors contractually bound to adhere to that noise ordinance.
This is Daniel, Senior Project Manager for Tech Construction. Just to follow up with Jesus says is that yes, we are going to try to minimize the noise, but still, it is a demolition is a noisy process. But to follow up on Jeff's point, yes, we are going to follow the city ordinances. We are going to only be working and providing demo during those hours of city ordinances to make sure that we minimize the impact to all the residents there. We definitely want to make sure that this is minimize the inconvenience for all the residents that are going to be impacted by this noise, by the demo of these lift stations when the time comes.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We don't have any new questions at the moment in particular, but we'll go ahead and take a couple minutes to wait to see if there's any that roll in. So we do have another question that came in. How will any delays in the project timeline be communicated?
So when the delays happen, what we do is we do update Engage Houston, and that's where you would find that update.
And they added to that, especially to those people who do not have access to internet or are not comfortable accessing information online.
That one's going to be a little bit more difficult. We don't have a system in place for flyers or anything like that. We do typically engage with the homeowners association, and that may be a resource.
Just a quick question, and again, I'm not as familiar with the new signs, but is there a connection option that's going to be posted on the sign? I know that there's going to be a QR code that's going to link back to Build Houston. Is there also a number on that sign?
Well, there is a QR code. I would say that that's probably, so we do have 311 as another option for individuals that don't want to access the internet or anything like that. They can call 311 and get the information that way. And yes, you're right. We've come up with a new sign that we're going to use. This is one of the first projects, and on the sign it has a QR code that actually directly links you to our Engage Houston website. I see the question about having a sign that's updated. That becomes a little bit more difficult to do. Anyway, I appreciate the thought. I'm just trying to figure out how to, it would be difficult to do, I believe.
May I add more? If there's any delay in the project, you can contact the project team, either me or Rolando. We already have those contact information in the previous slides, where you can log on to the engagement website. You can find those group contact information and call us.
All right, thank you. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close out this meeting. So once again, on behalf of the project team and the public engagement team, thank you all for taking the time out to participate in our community meeting. Again, if you have any questions beyond today's meeting, please make sure to visit us on engagehouston.org and submit your questions there. And please continue to engage with us. Make sure to register on engagehouston.org and subscribe to the Green River Chatwood project for updates. Thank you all very much.